Discussing city business funding, walking through and understanding the New York City Small Business Opportunity Fund. This morning, we are joined by John Rodriguez, Director of Capital Access for New York City Department of Small Business Services, Lisa Soren, the President of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, and Julius Budd, Small Business Resource Network Business Specialist. This morning, we will go through the New York City Small Business Opportunity Fund product for businesses throughout the city of New York. And our program will begin in approximately 2 minutes. We're going to give folks some time to come in. Just to preface this, this is going to be recorded and shared afterwards to registrants. And we are encouraging that everyone on the call, as we go through the tutorial portion of the application fund, to either take notes or to actually work through their pre-application with us at the same time, so we can address or troubleshoot any questions you may have. If there are content-specific questions to your application, if you've already submitted one or you're in a holding pattern, please chat box at Julius Budd, and Julius is going to take those notes, and then we will reach out to you one-on-one after this session. So sit tight. We'll begin the program in about 1.5 minutes. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the New York City Small Business Opportunity Overview. Today's call is going to focus on a new loan product that was provided by the City of New York. And to give opening remarks, we'd like to welcome the President of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Lisa Soren. Lisa?
Good morning and happy Friday. First, let me thank John Rodriguez for joining us this morning and for the team to put this together. There have been so many questions about this fund, and here in the Bronx specifically, we want to make sure that our Bronx businesses understand it and that we assist them so that the Bronx gets its fair share, if not more so, selfishly. But I want to thank everybody who has joined us this morning. And Mike, I want to thank you and Julius for taking the lead on this. You guys are the experts in trying to guide our businesses to make sure that this becomes available and that they can succeed in doing so. And John, I want to thank you for your emails and the constant communication. You've been a real help, and our partnership with SBS is result in our businesses being able to get what's owed to them, per se. So I want to thank everybody who's on here, and I hope you get as much information out of this and that we are here to assist you in any way possible. So take it on, Mike, it's all yours.
Great, thanks so much, Lisa. And again, thank you, John, for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Just to give a little background for folks that are on the call, the fund was launched last week. It is called the New York City Small Business Opportunity Fund. It is a $75 million fund that has been developed and administered by local partners, including the New York City Department of Small Business Services, Goldman Sachs's 1 Million Black Women, MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth, and an array of local community development financial institutions, CDFIs, which are nonprofit community-based financial institutions throughout New York City. The CDFIs include, and I'm going to go through them now because you'll see them later in your application, Accompany Capital, Ascendus, Bach Capital, Harlem Entrepreneurial Fund, NDC, Pursuit, Renaissance, and the True Fund. These CDFIs have been working on the ground to ensure that this fund is administered appropriately in close partnership with New York City Department of Small Business Services. A little bit about the fund and its goals. So it is a $75 million fund with loans up to $250,000 at a 4% fixed interest rate. It also has wraparound services, including free business support. There is no application fee. No minimum credit score is required. And the idea is that the Opportunity Fund delivers flexible, affordable capital and free business support services to small business owners and emerging entrepreneurs throughout New York City's 5 boroughs. We are closely monitoring the fund and working in lockstep with our partners at New York City Department of Small Business Services to ensure that Bronx businesses have adequate reach into the fund. And if there are any challenges, that we try to get them handle this as swiftly as possible. A couple housekeeping details before I turn it over to John for some remarks from New York City SBS. If you have a question that is content specific to your business or an application that you have provided, please chat box Julius Budd. Julius will be keeping track of that information for us. And Andre, if you could just go to the next slide. Julius will be keeping track of that information. So for very specific application questions, we will be reaching out to you one-on-one after this presentation. If you have more general questions, there will be a 5-question survey circulated during the presentation that you can speak about some challenges or successes, and we will be collating and compiling that data and providing it to New York City Department of Small Business Services. So for the hyper-specific challenges that are solely based on your applications, we don't want everyone putting all their own personal business out there in the world. Please chat box at Julius or the new BXCC. And this is very, very crucial information because this is going to help us help you. The name of your business's address, an email, a phone number, the nature of the challenge, the preferred language that you like to have a response given, and where applicable, if there was an application number or a pre-application number or a confirmation number, those are really important pieces of information that help us help you. So please, it will take you all of 3 minutes to put that in a chat box. That 3 minutes of time will save us hours of time later on. So please pay very careful attention to that housekeeping detail. Also, understandably, please understand that this loan product is getting a lot of attention, and it may be oversubscribed. I don't know, but we're working through with our partners at New York City Department of Small Business Services and the lending community to ensure that folks are receiving timely responses. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce John Rodriguez. I've known John for a very long time. John and I worked together at the South Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. His background is in finance. He went out to San Francisco for a bit and did some interesting things out there, worked with BachNet, and ultimately now he's the Director of Capital Access at New York City Department of Small Business Services. John is a native of New York City and really very dedicated to our small businesses. And he's been a breath of fresh air, particularly in getting Bronx businesses access to the capital that they need. So without further ado, John, take it away.
That was some intro, Mike. Thank you.
Try.
Mike knows my bio better than I do. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Lisa, for having me. Thank you, Mike, for inviting me. I'm really excited to speak with you all today, and really excited to go through this pre-application. The Small Business Opportunity Fund, as Mike mentioned, was launched last week. We launched it in the Kingsbridge neighborhood of the Bronx. I have very strong connections to the Bronx. As Mike said, I was working with him over at Sobro for a while, and I love the borough, and we realized that in past programs, the Bronx wasn't getting its fair share of funds from these types of loans, especially COVID loans. So we did a lot of outreach and push in the Bronx, and I'm happy to say that our applications reflect the boroughs, the populations of the boroughs. So the Bronx has a really good number of applications in, but we want more. And we want you all to get in as soon as possible. We did get a very high volume of applications. And so we want to make sure that you're in and the application being processed and assigned to the lenders that you want to work with based on what you enter in. So I think it's a great idea that if you want to follow along and work on your pre-application, I think that's fantastic. And if any questions arise, I'm happy to help answer them. I understand it could get a little bit complicated with the lender matching process. And then also, if you've already applied, you might even notice that you can also be linked to a business solution center or your industrial provider. So we have the Bronx Business Solution Center to help provide technical assistance. And we also have Sobro, who's the industrial provider, to provide technical assistance if you selected that. You will be routed to those centers based on your industry. So retail, storefront, restaurants, that would be routed to the Business Solutions Center up on Fordham Road. And then if you're an industrial or manufacturing business, you would be routed down to Sobro. I don't have too much to add except for, any questions that you might have coming through. I'm happy to answer those, but otherwise, I'll let you guys take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, John. I really, really appreciate you and all the work that you've done to stand this up in such a short period of time. It is a large task to stand up any type of fund, but particularly a fund that has so many major players like MasterCard and Goldman. So thank you for your work on that.
Thank you, Michael.
So the next step is going to be a very hands-on moment in the process. So Julius Budd is our small business resource specialist with the Small Business Resource Network, which is an in-house program at the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. Julius, Darius Aldana, Miguel Matos, and the team, Chanel Perez, are also on the call to help assist and businesses with direct service questions. Julius is going to essentially share his screen, and we are going to walk through a pre-application tutorial with a mock business. Julius has been really prepped for it. He's very excited to do this. I can tell he's hyped, just as all of our businesses should be excited. So with that being said, Julius, we're going to turn the share screen privileges over to you to begin the mock application. We really encourage, if you are a business, to have in a separate window your pre-application opened as well. So if there are any questions that you encounter or any challenges, we can address them in real time or through a follow-up. And then after that, we will open it up for a general Q&A for folks. And again, if you have a hyper-specific application question, please chat box at Julius, and Julius will collate that information and we will do a follow-up one-on-one with you after this session. So Julius, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you guys can see my screen. I have already came over to the SBS Opportunity Fund.nyc website. I will put that in the chat for everyone. As Mike said, I know some of you have already applied, and if so, hopefully this isn't taking up too much of your time. I'll give everyone a second. So I think that's good. So this first page immediately asks how much you are interested in borrowing. So as Mike mentioned, this is not a real application. We do not want to cloud up the SBS stream and take it away from you guys. So we will put $10,000 just to get our application rolling. This you can request anywhere from $200,000 to $250,000 based on whatever you feel like your business needs for whatever you're looking to do with the financing.
And just on that note, I know that many business owners, they automatically say, okay, I want to hit the max of $250,000, but there is a regulatory process that goes through, and the debt service ratio has to be right. So if you are a business that is only generating $5,000 a year in revenue, do not ask for $250,000. You will most likely be denied. Actually, I know probably 100% you will be denied. So just think reasonably what your loan needs are and what you're going to be using them for. I know it's very tempting to say $250,000, but you will have to pay the loan back.
We'll definitely have to pay the loan back. Just to clarify, this is not a grant. It is a great opportunity with a low interest loan. For comparable sake, I'd say a loan of this nature from a private lender would be upwards of 9 or 10%. So this is a great opportunity. So be sure you are taking advantage. So on this next screen, after you.
So I just wanted to chime in on one thing because I'm seeing a lot of questions about startups in the chat box. And yes, the loan fund is available for startup businesses and early stage businesses. However, if you're if you have like an idea, and it's not quite formulated, you don't have a business plan, this may not be the best product for you because the lenders will want to see some sort of business plan or backing, financial projections, something of that nature. Also to note on startup businesses, the max amount of funding you can get as an early stage of startup business is $100,000. So there's kind of like two buckets. There's the $100,000 for startups and early stage, and then operating and growing businesses can apply for $250,000.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification. That's exactly why we needed you here, John. Okay, so now on the second page, it gives you a drop-down menu to select the reason that you are borrowing or looking for financing and funding. So the first option is working capital, which is just a very general business thing. You're looking to expand your business, you're looking to keep your business running, whatever that means in day-to-day operations. As John just mentioned, for startup businesses, if you are on the early stages of seeing your business grow and getting your business to where you want it to be, the startup business would be the best option for you. Acquiring is pretty straightforward if you're looking to buy a business from someone that is already looking to sell. Inventory, self-explanatory. Machinery or equipment, building improvements, building acquisition. John, could you actually speak to the building acquisition one? I think that one might be a little bit fuzzy.
Yes, absolutely. So building acquisition, I honestly don't like the way this is worded in here. Real estate is not an eligible usage of funds. However, if you're making a business acquisition and real estate is a part of that, and you're looking to finance the business and the property which is located, that is an eligible use of the fund.
Perfect. In a previous meeting, I recall you guys saying that, so I just wanted to let you clarify.
Right.
And the last option is refinancing existing debt, which in my opinion is one of the best uses for this fund. If you have previously taken out loans, I know the last 2 years have been very hectic. So if you have taken out loans, and whether you may have multiple loans that have different interest rates, this is a great opportunity to get all of those in one place and to most likely get a lower interest rate on that.
And another note on that, sorry for all the it depends and
No.
stipulations. For refinancing existing debt, there must be a 50% reduction in APR. So what that means is if you were in a pandemic crisis and you took out a cabbage loan or a payroll loan at a 20% or something crazy and a very high interest rate, you can refinance that debt because this is a flat 4% interest rate. If you have an SBA loan with a 6 or 7% interest rate and you want to refinance that wouldn't be eligible. So it has to be a 50% reduction in the interest rate of the loan that you're trying to refinance.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's
And
great. And then Julius, just one other thing, because I think it will come up, it's come up a couple of times about, do I need to have a brick and mortar location or a place of business in New York City to qualify? The answer to that is yes, you must have a physical location within the 5 boroughs. So just to keep that in the back of your mind, moving forward.
thank you. And lastly, on the drop-down menu is other. So if you have a business need, or if you have some intention for this loan that isn't necessarily listed here, you can press other, and I believe it gives you an opportunity on the next page to explain what it is you're looking to do. So we will go with working capital. And in this part, you enter your business details. So the name of your business, I will put SBRN. Business type, this is how your business was formed. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe this is on paper. So a lot of times I know we engage with businesses that have formed legally in one particular way, and may see themselves operating differently. So you do want to select this according to what you have on your legal formation documents. So LLC, sole proprietorship, corporation, nonprofit, or other. You will do so as an LLC. So like the industry that you're in, these can also be a little bit hazy. I know sometimes businesses fall in between or in different areas. John, would you be able to tell us if someone owned a bar? I know it's not listed here, but what would that be listed under?
I
Oh,
would put restaurant.
okay, perfect. So we're just gonna roundabout. If you do not see your business here, if you feel like there is no close match, there is a option for other at the very bottom of this drop down menu. And SPR will be business services. For time in business, however long you've been around, and this is based on legal formation as well. So unless you can show that your business was operating before your legal formation, through tax documents, I assume, then you're just going to want to put whenever you legally structured. For anyone that has not legally structured their business, we do also help with that. So if you do have questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us about that as well. I'll put 2 to 3 years for this, and we will move on. When did your business begin operations? Again, referencing whatever legal documentation you have as to when your business started operating. We will put July 1st, 2020. Business address. So to the question that I saw was being asked in the chat, and that Mike addressed a little bit earlier, this loan is particularly for businesses in the 5 boroughs. It does not necessarily have to be a brick and mortar. You don't have to have a storefront. You don't have to have a physical office. If you offer business services, for example, or if you have an e-commerce business and that business is out of your home, as long as it's registered within the 5 boroughs, you can go ahead and put that business address here. And then in the next question, it asks exactly that. So do you have a home-based business? Do you work out of an office, a storefront, manufacturing, industrial, warehouse, distribution, or not applicable? John, can you give us some ideas of what non-applicable for any of these would consist of?
That's a good question. I would say maybe like if you have a construction site and it's just maybe a lot that you have equipment stored on. I can't really think of too many other uses, and most of them have fallen into those top 5. But if for some reason you don't believe you fall into those top 5, then I would say just select non-applicable.
Okay, gotcha. Maybe a food truck. A food
Yeah,
truck
maybe
might
a
be an
food truck,
example
or
of.
yeah, maybe online based.
Okay, perfect. And I see that someone asked, what if you don't have a physical business address and are seeking a loan in order to get a location? So I believe this is more to what we were saying, wherever your business is legally registered. So if you did so with your home address, then that would be your business address for now. And if you are looking to use the funding to move into an office or to grow your business so that you can get into a storefront, then that would be perfect. But as of right now, use whatever NYC-based location your business operates out of. And how should we reach you? There is a disclaimer here that says any owner with more than 20% ownership will be required to attest to the information and sign a personal guarantee. So this sometimes comes up with us as well for businesses that are owned by more than one person. If it's a group that owns it, when you do get through this application, you may not necessarily need it for this, but when you do get through with this application, you do meet with your lender, you will need all of the owners to agree to this. I think this part is fairly self-explanatory, but if one person from a business takes out a loan that the other owners are not aware of, that could cause some problems. So just double check on that. But for here, just put your personal information, whoever's applying for this loan. and how you would prefer to be contacted, either email or phone, and whether you prefer to be contacted in morning, afternoon, or evening.
And
Someone,
while Julius fills that out, once you are matched with a lender, which we'll see that screen shortly, you will receive a follow-up email which outlines the documents that you are going to need to provide to that lender. One of them is your articles of incorporation or formation, and how your business is structured, and partnership percentages. So, for example, if you own a bar and you have 35% stake of the bar, but you have another partner who might have 35% and somebody else who has 9%, for this particular portion, anyone who has more than 20% ownership will be required to sign a personal guarantee. Just to be clear on that, and you will have to provide the follow-up email, documents later as you're matched with your lender.
awesome, thank you for that. And there was a question in the chat that John did answer, and the person asked, I have two businesses, one for 9 years and the other just started this year. Can I apply for both? And can I guarantee both loans? And John did let them know that they can. This is something that came up yesterday at an event we had, where someone had multiple businesses and she was under the impression that she could only do one loan. If each business is registered separately, then you can apply for each of your businesses. Again, not necessarily having to do with the loan, but this is something that you want to ensure that you can handle. So if you are one person running multiple businesses, definitely do not borrow at a capacity that you can't upkeep. This is a loan that has to be repaid. And while we'd all love the money, you don't want to get yourself in a situation that you have a hard time getting out of. How soon do you start repayment after receiving the loan? That is a wonderful question.
So interest payments are immediate after receiving the loan. However, loans up to $100,000 can qualify for an interest-only period of 6 months.
Awesome. And so the interest only period is where you're just paying interest on the loan and you're not paying principal for the first 6 months.
Right.
Yep. All right. So we can move past this screen. What was your total revenue last year? Applicants need to have less than $5 million in annual revenue to qualify for this program. So here, I know we're getting into tax season. So as some of you may not have a perfect answer to this, or you might not know exactly where you are, just round about to the nearest area that you believe you're a part of. So less than 100,000, 100 to 250, 250 to 500,000, 500 to a million to 5 million, and more than 5 million.
Right. And if you need access to this information in a user-friendly way, if you are a retail store or you are a services-based industry, you can pull that information from your point of sale system. You can also pull it from your last year's tax filing to give you a better estimate. Those are two very user-friendly ways of doing it. If you have a bookkeeper or an accountant, they should be able to have this information fairly readily available to you. And the scales here are put there just to give folks an idea of what lender you would be best to be matched with, depending on your loan size.
Just to follow up on that too, because there's people asking, we have a question, which year's revenue should you use? You should use the most recent that you have. But if you're, as Michael mentioned, if you have a bookkeeper accountant or you have QuickBooks or software like that, you can use an estimate of the revenue from your most recent fiscal year. I think that would be the best way of going about it. But if you don't have that exact information, I would go with whatever recent tax documents you have that specify that revenue.
Did you earn a profit last year? This is a very good question. This is something that I know in previous loans and grants that have been available has kind of disqualified some people. Most recently, the seed grant did not require you to have turned a profit in the last year for businesses that were having a difficult time. But John, could you speak to this question for applicants?
So this wouldn't necessarily exclude you from the program. but it's when you get into underwriting, so when you get matched with a lender, that might be something that they look into. And then they might look at, like, not just this past year, but years before, see if the business is profitable over a period of 2-3 years. But it won't immediately disqualify you.
Awesome.
And John, just a quick follow-up just on this. If you were a business that was formed during the pandemic and partners use their own funding to float the business as a loan to the business during that time, so it would be entered into your financial systems as a loan from a partner. So there would be some version of debt service that maybe would impact whether you've earned a profit last year. Do you know specifically how the lenders would view that if a loan was taken from a partner?
That's a really good question. I don't have an exact answer for that, because basically the way that it's assessed in underwriting is, can you repay the loan? So if there's debt service to the owners, but the owners still have financial reserves or savings that they're willing to put into the business to repay, then that would, in theory, they would it would go toward the debt service coverage ratio. So I think I would say in my thought is that yes, you would still be eligible, and that would be taken into account. It may lower what you're asking. It may lower the final amount that is closed, but it would be taken into consideration, but not be a disqualifier. I hope that made sense.
No, it definitely adds some context. That is helpful, 100%. Thank you.
Okay, great.
And what was your annual net profit last year? So if you were profitable, what was that profit? Again, you may not have an exact number, just try and be as close as possible.
And for this, again, you can pull it from your last tax filing, or if you're in a partnership, your K-1s show you also your net revenue that your company's made.
The number of full-time employees that you have, and whether or not you have prior bankruptcies. All right, so do you have collateral to support the loan? No specific collateral is required to be eligible. You do not need to have access to any specific real estate or equipment. Please note that your lender will file a blanket first or second lien on business assets to be filed by the community lender, and any owners with more than 20% ownership must sign a personal guarantee. So in this list, you have commercial real estate, residential real estate, inventory, accounts receivable, cash, investment accounts, new equipment or machinery, furniture and fixtures, vehicles, used equipment, machinery, vacant land, leasehold improvements, other or none. So I know this can also be a little tricky. So John, would you be able to help us differentiate? Are these assets or collateral held by the business owner representing the more than 20% stake, or do they need to be held directly by the business?
They could be held by either. So
Okay.
it really depends on the status of the business. If it's early stage, then the asset in all likelihood does not belong to the business. It might be a personal asset, so that could be used as collateral against the person. If it's an operating business and you do have inventory equipment that's registered to the business, then it could be used for collateral that way.
Perfect, thank you. And I see someone asked what to put if you do not have any assets or collateral. The very last checkbox here is none, which is perfectly fine. As John just mentioned, you may not have assets or collateral under the business yet, and that is exactly what the loan is here for, to help you build your business so that you do. So we will put none. How much revenue do you expect to make this year, as in this upcoming year of 2023? What is your total expected business income? This is also a question that can be a little open-ended. So for example, if you made $40,000 last year and you are taking out a loan for business operations, you are assumably looking to grow your business. I would not recommend accounting too heavily for that. So if you have a pace that your business is growing on, or if you know that you have things lined up this year to expect your business to grow, but I wouldn't account for a 500% growth because you're getting an influx of $50,000 this year. So just try and keep this as accurate as possible.
Right. And on this note too, when you're doing your projections, we know that a lot of our members and businesses in the Bronx, they may not have cash flow projections over the quarter or cash flow projections over the year. Those would be the ideal things to have. And those are things that the Bronx Chamber and New York City Department of Small Business Services can assist you in developing. All of these services, by the way, are free of charge. So you're more than welcome to take advantage of them. When you're for this loan program, particularly because it's such a short window, when you're making your projections, as Julia said, don't project out a 500% increase in revenue. If you have a signed contract with Amazon and they're going to buy millions and millions of baubles from you, then yes, that makes sense, but do not overly anticipate how much you're going to make and then be left holding the bag on debt that you can't repay. So just be very real about what your expected revenue is, and just have that conversation and just make it a very real conversation with yourself, your business partners, if you have them, and have those courageous conversations of, hey, maybe we're not going to do a tremendous amount this year, but just be a little bit more reserved on that.
Absolutely. And if you're fortunate enough to work with our All-Stars Chanel for MWBE certification, you might very well have a contract lined up. And if you have not met Chanel, and you do have a minority or women-owned business, we do very much encourage you to reach out to our office. MWBE certification does help with that. So here we will go ahead and put less than 100,000. And do you have a business plan? This is something that personally we come across a lot. So I think business plans are different for everyone. You might have a very thorough business plan. It might be 15 pages, and you might know exactly what you want to do for the next 10 years, and that is amazing. You may not have a 15-page business plan, and you might have a 2-page business plan of what your overall goals are for your business, how you look to get there. I think even aside from just a lending perspective, just having a vision as to what you want for your business and how you want to do that is very important. We can also help with developing a business plan if that is something that you would like to do. So we will go ahead and put yes.
I just want to make a note of that also. This question is more for early or stage businesses. So if you're a startup or early stage, this is going to help your chances of getting a loan because it shows that you have a plan, you may have projections, you have a business idea thought out. But if if you're an operating business, if you've been in business 10 years and you're looking for working capital, it'll likely not be, you won't really need to rely heavily on this.
Perfect.
And I just quickly on that, because I know there's a couple of things about contacts, and we're going to put the contact information up in the chat. For MWBE certification, please email programs with an S at the end at bronxchamber.org. That will direct you to Chanel Perez. She oversees our MWBE programs. So again, if you're an MWBE potential or you are certified and you need to go through the recertification process, that's programs at bronxchamber.org. If you need assistance with startup business planning, et cetera, we have a board member at the Bronx Chamber of Commerce that says, the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, its purpose is essentially to do a business plan for the Bronx and a business plan for our businesses. So if you do need that assistance, please email sbrn at bronxchamber.org. That's sbrn at bronxchamber.org. And we will assist you with at least developing a framework for your business plan. And then we can schedule one-on-one meetings to more fully develop that out. There are also webinars that are offered in partnership with New York City Department of Small Business Services. The Bronx Chamber of Commerce partners on about 6 webinars with the city each month, and to handle these very specific needs. So again, for business planning, please email sbrn@bronxchamber.org. For MWBE work, please email programs@bronxchamber.org.
I'm actually going to change my name in the Zoom call to my email, so that if you do have any general questions, you can email me directly. And if you do need Chanel and you didn't remember programs@bronxchamber.org, you can just email me and I'll connect you with her. And so back to the application. Yes. And we will go ahead and put, yes, we do have a business plan. The next question is, are you interested in additional support or resources for your business? I would almost say everyone should be interested in some type of support. Your business might have been running for 10 years and you know exactly what it is you want to do and you know exactly how to do it. I think we can all have a little bit of growth, even if there's something very small or minuscule that you think might help your business grow. Please reach out. We're interested. You might be able to teach us something that you might have overcome that we can pass forward. So I will put, I already put that I have a business plan, but maybe I want to develop it further. Cash flow management, that seems good. Financing capital, that's why I'm here, so I can say I'm interested in that. And let's do technology and e-commerce. So there are a bunch of options here. Something should interest you, and we'll go ahead and move forward.
And just to go off that for a second, those options there are going to be what prompts you to be connected to one of our small business business solution centers. So the center may not offer all of those services, but when you get to the matching page, you'll see what they offer and how they can assist you. And it's based on your response to that question.
Perfect. And did you hear about the New York City Small Business Opportunity Fund from one of the city's New York City Business Solution Centers? So the Business Solution Centers are, as John just mentioned, the local SBS offices. So we have one here in the Bronx. I believe there are a few in other boroughs. So if you are subscribed to the SBS, the Bronx SBS's newsletters or any of their social media handles, then you would put yes. If you heard about this opportunity either here or from one of our newsletters, you would go ahead and put no. So this doesn't at all affect your loan. I believe this is just SBS's way of keeping track of where people are subscribed to, where people are getting information about these kind of things. So we'll go ahead and put no, and then later on we'll put the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. The next question, I believe, asks you to delve into that. So unfortunately, we aren't listed here. We would fall under a community-based organization. And then what news story, what social media channel? Well, I believe everyone here is subscribed to the Bronx Chamber of Commerce on Instagram. So we can go ahead and put the new BXCC on Instagram is where you heard about this. Wink, wink. Here we go. And were you referred by a business solution center? If so, which one?
This is glitchy. I don't know why that's been like that, but you can just click continue there.
Okay.
And again, to Julius's point, this allows SBS to reach out to partners throughout the city to do further engagement. So if you list the new Bronx Chamber of Commerce and you've sent in an application, then the city knows, okay, for this particular application, I can reach out to the Bronx Chamber of Commerce to do follow-up because they've done the hand-holding or they've walked the business through the application process. Similarly, if you've worked with other economic development organizations, that would be the same way. It just allows us to be more efficient about the follow-up.
And is your business owned by an immigrant? Please select yes if 20% or more of your business is owned by an immigrant. this is, I know, somewhat a touchy subject for some people. I do not believe your business will at all, your application will at all be affected. This is just, again, one of those things that just for record's sake, for SBS to have a better idea of who is applying and where people are applying from and the nature of that. So we'll go ahead and put no here.
And well, further to that, we want immigrant-owned businesses.
Mhm.
So it's not a disqualifier whatsoever. All you need would be an ITIN if you don't have a social security number. But we are heavily interested in immigrant business owners applying for this fund.
Awesome.
And I
Love
think
it.
to John's point on that, this fund and the founding partners of the fund are all organizations, funders, et cetera, that work very closely with women-owned businesses, immigrant-owned businesses, businesses owned by communities of color, with the idea of empowering more New York City small businesses through capital. So please do not be deterred by these questions. They are meant for us to be able to track the ability that funding is going to these very specific communities that, in large part over the past 50 years have not had access to this type of capital.
Absolutely. And moving to the next question, is your business owned by women, people of color, veterans, persons with disabilities, and or LGBTQ identifying people? Providing this information is completely voluntary. You are not required to provide this information to be considered for a loan. So if your business does qualify under any of these things listed, and this isn't necessarily something that you have to have documented, this is completely voluntary or as you identify. But yes here. And then on the next question, it asks you to specify if you did select yes, any of those things, which of those you fall under. So Julius would be here and a little bit here. And please share your preferred language. This is one of the very amazing things about the small business services. Even for me, when I received the toolkit to be able to share out flyers and stuff with our business owners, there was a flyer in about 25 different languages. So SBS has been very accommodating because of the makeup of the Bronx in New York City, where we have people from all different corners of the world here. So whichever language you prefer to speak, they will accommodate that. Go ahead and move on. And what is your personal credit score? So this is actually something that I want to let John speak to, because I know we've gotten a good amount of questions here. So I know that the program has been advertised as you can apply despite credit. So if we could just get some clarification here.
So as you can see the banner right there, it says no minimum credit score that is required under this program. In the beginning of the program, there was a bit of an issue. Some of the lenders have technology systems in place, customer relationship management systems, CRMs, where they were connected directly with this portal. Those lenders' products have specific credit criteria, and sometimes it would result in an automatic denial. They were not set up, and they were not set up to receive referrals through this portal that would take that eligibility criteria out of it. So some people initially received emails that said you were denied due to credit. That issue was fixed within the first 2 days of the program. So if that did happen to you, please go ahead and submit another application, because that has been fixed. No one should be receiving that message whatsoever.
All right. That is great. So if you unfortunately did receive an email of that sort, I believe John said you should resubmit your application. So go through it again. It's only a few minute application. I know it's taking a little bit longer because we're talking through it, but hopefully you can get that out in a decent time. So we'll go ahead and put we're here. And I believe this is the last question. Yes. All right. So this is the exciting part. So on this screen, we get to look over the lenders that we were connected with, as well as the NYC Business Solutions Center, and choose. So if you'd like, you can do your due diligence here. There may be, you might want to look up each of these and see if they have an office nearby, whether you've worked with any of these CDFIs in the past, however you like, and then go ahead and select. I will not be going past this screen. I do not want to actually submit an application, but based on whatever you decide to do here from the lender perspective, you can just put connect, and you can look at the details here if you'd like to learn more. As I said, so the headquarters for Harlem Entrepreneurial Fund are in Harlem. For NDC, it just says state of New York, so they may not have a in-person office. And the headquarters for Pursuit are in the city. So in addition to this, these are for the lenders. At the bottom, there is the business services that are offered through the Business Solution Center, the Bronx Business Solution Center, excuse me. Additionally, if you have a working relationship with us, or if you haven't, we can also help you out with a lot of these things. We do work with our Small Business Solution Center. So if there is something that we can't help with, we do not have too much pride to hand you off and connect you with someone that we work with at SBS so that they can help you further. And then at the very bottom, there are additional resources which are outside of either of our organizations. We actually do work with our Small Business Development Center, which is a local arm of the Small Business Administration. So if you have any questions about any of these things or any of these processes, you can reach back out to us. We do recommend moving on this in a timely manner. There is a finite amount of money that SBS can give out. So get this in as soon as you can, and let's answer some questions.
Great, thank you. And just so folks know about what the next step will be, after you've completed this, you'll receive 2 emails. One email, which comes from New York City Department of Small Business Services through a platform called Connect to Capital. This confirms that your pre-application was received, and it also identifies the lender that you've been connected with. Similarly, probably within minutes of each other, you will receive an email from the funder that has received your pre-application, and they will be the one that you're matched with. And that will go through a review of the program, confirming your eligibility, and also telling you what documents to gather. Now, we all know from businesses that sometimes our paperwork is not all together. So in the time span that you get this email and then the lender reaches out to you, which is 3 to 5 days or so, 7 days, depending on how backlogged they are, please start getting the following information together. That's your 2020 and 2021 tax returns, business and personal, your 2022 profit and loss statement. This can be internally prepared by yourself through your POS system, through QuickBooks, through your bookkeeper. Also pull your certificate of incorporation or articles of organization, and bylaws or your operating agreement or your business certificate. This allows the lender to understand how your business is structured, how many partners you have, etc. Also pull the last 3 months of business bank statements and prepare a copy of your photo ID and any of the photo IDs of your business, part of yourself, and also your other business partners who may have more than 20% of the business. So after you've done this pre-application, you will get pinged with an email. That ping of the email is your indication to start pulling your paperwork and getting your ducks in a row, because then you'll receive either a follow-up email or a follow-up call from the selected lender. And it's very important that you have your paperwork ducks in a row for that, so you can move expeditiously through the process. Also, please realize that technology is not perfect, and that a lot of these lenders have an auto response saying, you're going to hear from us within 2 to 4 days. Please give a little bit more birth to that, because this is a very actively subscribed loan product, and lenders may not reach out to you within 2 to 4 days. It may be a little bit more of a week or so. And there's also an auto pop that says you can have funding in your hands within 21 days. While we all hope that that is the reality, we also know that sometimes it takes a little bit longer to close on loans. So just be a little bit more pessimistic about that timeline schedule, just to prepare yourselves for it. So with that being said, Julius, do you want to walk through a couple of questions with John while we have it? And again, if you have very specific questions for a very specific loan application, please chat box at Julius, and we will do a one-on-one follow-up consultation with you and your business. So Julius, take it away.
Yes. So we've been trying to answer the questions as we go, just because a lot of them pertain directly to whatever we were showing on the screen. So one of the questions we have here is a good question. And someone asked whether you can change the amount you requested once you put your application in. And John answered that you can do this once you are connected with the lender and you've begun working on your internal application. So on that final page, when you select whatever lender you want to work with, and as we mentioned, we know the turnaround time has been a little longer than desired, but once you do begin working with that lender, you can adjust, and as you're going over your documentation and all of those things, you can absolutely change the amount requested. And also, if you do request a certain amount, there is a chance that when dealing with the lender, they might not see that you have the capacity to take that on, and they will offer you less. And that isn't necessarily a testament to you not having the means of doing so, but part of the CDFI's jobs is to help you responsibly take out this money. They don't want to just turn over money and have you on the hook for money that you won't be able to repay. Someone asked what the time to fund means. On that final page, it said the time to fund was about 2 to 3 weeks. As Mike said, that can be a little bit longer. The time to fund is not the time it will take to hear back from the lender. That is the time until you will have the money in your bank account. And I assume that's probably going to be 2 to 3 weeks from when you begin working with the lender. Hopefully sooner, of course. Someone asked for clarity on the final page. On that last page, there are multiple different lenders. Whatever lenders it shows you on that final page when you submit your application are the lenders that will best suit you. So throughout this application, take certain information and polls who the best lenders for you are based on the amount you're looking for, based on what you're planning to do with the money and things of that nature. So once you do see the lenders that you're paired with, you can select one of those lenders. And John, I know a question we got yesterday in person was, can you change the lender that you've selected after you've done so?
If you've already selected the lender, what you can, and you want to work with a different lender, like say you have a relationship with True Fund, but you selected NDC, you can reach out to us or reach out to the fund. I think there's a contact email there, and tell us, hey, I want to work with this other lender, or they have a relationship with them, and we can have it reassigned. It depends on the capacity of the lenders, but chances are, if you already have a previous relationship, you can do that.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that is possible. However, I would like to say that likely will extend the time that it takes you to secure financing. So I would reserve doing that unless, like John said, you do have a relationship with the lender that you're looking to move to and you feel comfortable working with them directly.
A question just got put up. John, how do folks go about checking the status of their application? So they've gone through the portal, they've been assigned to, let's say, True Fund. They've started their due diligence with the lender, they've got their application in hand. From that point moving forward, do they just engage directly with the lender, or should they be going through a business solutions center, a chamber, Department of Small Business Services? What would you recommend for that?
So once they've started the application with the lender, they'll be assigned to a loan officer, and that's how they will check their status, because once it's past the pre-application stage, we actually at SBS cannot see any of that. It's all with the fund administrator at that point.
Gotcha. And there's another question in about, how long is the process, the entire process, like to closing. I think that's really specific to the applicant, and it's also specific to the subscription of this loan product. This loan product was $75 million with a target of reaching 1,500 businesses in New York City. I think within the first day, 2 days, we had 2,500 applications that went in that lenders are working through. So the entire process, it's going to really be dictated by how prompt your responses are with the lender, making sure your paperwork is together, and making sure that when you did the preliminary application process, you were as honest as you can be. You don't want to set yourself up for a loan that you will eventually get denied from and spend all of your time doing that, because during the pre-application process, you may not have been 100% truthful with yourself about what you can afford.
And another question is, I know there was a fixed amount of CDFIs that were involved in this program. We here work with some other CDFIs. Are the ones listed the only CDFIs that this program is going to be available through its entirety?
Yes, so there's the 8 CDFIs that are signed on to this loan program. And the really cool, or the unique thing about this program is that the CDFIs are only keeping 5% of the loans that they make on the books. The way that it works is that they make the loan to the business and then they sell 95% of that loan back into the fund. And that's their reimbursement. So it's not just a program to build business. I mean, obviously it's a program to build business capacity and grow and start businesses here in New York City, but it's also a way of growing the CDFIs because they're able to make greater amounts of loans, grow their capacity, and not keep that risk necessarily on their books.
And in terms of reassigning a loan or having more in-depth conversations, again, please email Julius directly. So Julius has sbrn@bronxchamber.org, because the Bronx Chamber and folks who are on this call, as well as the broader chamber community, we have a direct line of communication with John and his team at New York City Department of Small Business Services. And because technology has progressed in such a way, it really makes having direct conversations about specific applications much more efficient. So if you have an issue or you say, hey, I've worked with TrueFund all the time, but I got matched with Ascendus, please email us if you are more comfortable working with TrueFund. Let us know so we can go about on our end to have that reassigned. But please do know, if you do choose that option and have it reassigned, it may add a few more days onto your application response process.
Are there any other questions? I believe we've answered everything here. Just to say again, if you are interested in any of the services here, even for MWBE, Chanel's email is programs, plural, @bronxchamber.org. But if there's anything involving any matter here at the chamber, you can email any of us and we'll be able to take care of that. As mentioned in your application, if you request business services, it will connect you directly with Small Business Solution Center here in the Bronx, if that is the address that you put. Again, to confirm, this is only for businesses that are in the 5 boroughs. So I know someone asked in the chat earlier that if they have a business registered here in the Bronx, but they have multiple locations that may be outside of the 5 boroughs, what should they put? You, in this application, you should only put an address within the 5 boroughs. Someone said, will we be receiving a copy of the webinar? Yes, absolutely. We will be sending a copy to anyone that was registered. We know some people weren't able to make it. We did have a huge turnout, which is great for both of us. This program and this loan fund is a great opportunity, no pun intended. And we've had the pleasure of having John here to help us answer a lot of these tough questions. And so we will be sure to send that out. Is there an interest rate and monthly payment quote relating to the loan amount? That is the beauty of this loan. This loan is a fixed 4% interest rate throughout the entirety of the loan. Yeah,
That's correct. And also, I want to just also let everyone know that there's also a loan repayment calculator. I'm putting it in the chat actually right now. So if you go to the website and scroll down, you'll see the loan terms and eligibility, and then you'll see a cost analysis chart. And it gives you an example of what your monthly payment will be based on the amount of loan that you take out and the amortization or the term of the loan. There's also a loan calculator, which I put the link to in the chat. And what that does is it's a really cool tool. You could put in what the annual interest rate is. So you would put 4%, put on any deferments. In this case, there would be none, the term of your loan and the total loan amount. And it'll tell you what your payment per month will be. And as Julius mentioned, this is a fixed 4% interest rate. It does not change. And there are no other fees associated, no application fees or any of that.
Right, and that's a great tool. And also, I know we've been driving home this message, but once you're matched with a lender, please have an open dialogue with that lender and just make sure that you have your paperwork together. That's the one item that our businesses tend to trip over on. So use this time wisely, use the weekend wisely. Spend 3 hours of your day on a Saturday or for the rest of the Friday afternoon pulling those very specific documents that we had mentioned to make sure your ducks are in a row. So when the lender says, okay, it's go time, you're ready to move. Because as we had already stated, this is a very popular loan product and it will be subscribed and the funds will be exhausted. So ensure that you're part of that mix. I know it's a Friday and everyone wants to go out and have happy hour and enjoy themselves and everything. But, lucky part about it is that we were on time with our program today. So you still have a nice chunk of time, a couple hours to start pulling your paperwork together to make sure that you're ready for when that lender does give you a call or an email that you can move forward on the process. Just in closing, I really want to thank Julius, our Small Business Resource Network specialist, for all the work that he's done on this process and matching businesses with the loan product. John Rodriguez, the Director of Capital Access at New York City Department of Small Business Services. This loan program has been John's baby, I feel like, and often it's not the folks who are in our Zooms that get all the credit they deserve, but John has done a yeoman's work in getting this and moving it forward. Before I turn it over to Lisa Soren, our president, for some closing remarks, I just want to go through a couple upcoming events that may be of interest to our group here. Next week on Tuesday, we have the Power of Social Media, Tools to Market Your Business. That is on Tuesday, February 7th. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in partnership with New York City Department of Small Business Services. On Wednesday, February 15th, we have our February networking event in celebration of Black History Month. I would invite everyone to attend. It will be held at the Residence Inn Marriott on 1776 East Chester Road. Please visit the Chamber website, www.bronxchamber.org/events, for a full listing of our Chamber of Commerce events. We offer a wide array of programs, from business development workshops to networking to one-on-one business services, MWB certification, bid management, development, Chamber on the Go resources, and of course, the Small Business Resource Network program. So we really invite everyone to take advantage of those services. And if you've dated us for a while and are very interested in the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, we invite you to become a member of the Chamber of Commerce, which is cheaper than your monthly Netflix bill. So that's always a good selling point. So if you are interested in membership, please email membership@bronxchamber.org. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Soren, our president of the Chamber of Commerce, for some closing remarks. And again, thank you for everyone joining us today. Lisa?
Great job, Michael. I have very little to add. You all have knocked it out of the park. Julius, you are incredible. So thank you, truthfully, because this is so out of my wheelhouse. And I personally have learned a lot about this. The team at the Bronx Chamber is really focused on making sure that the business of our borough really succeed, thrive, grow, and actually just start your business here in the Bronx. Everything you need is right here in our borough. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank those who participated. And John, thank you so much. You and I will definitely be in contact. I'm going to follow up on the email that you sent me. I'm wishing everybody a happy Friday. And thanks again, guys.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you again, John. And just as a reminder, a recap email will be sent out at the conclusion of this program. It will also include a video of the tutorial that happened today. So if you have any questions, you need to go back and revisit it, please watch the video. Also, please follow the Chamber at the new BXCC on all social media platforms and YouTube, the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. This gives you live updates of happenings, more workshops, one-on-one assistance. For this particular program, if you need direct assistance, again, please email sbrn@bronxchamber.org. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We look forward to our continued partnership together. Have a great day.
Wonderful day, everyone.